welcome back, everyone, to this Imaginarium once again, where we will dream and create together. During our worship service this morning, our worship associate Heidi Wood shared with us a quote from Amanda Gorman's poem, The Hill We Climb, the inauguration poem. I think those words are worthy of repeating again. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. And in that spirit of the future, of imagining together what lies before us, I light our chalice and call our meeting into being.
So Renee Rahutsky here, member of the church for 25 plus years for some newer folks. What you may not know is I work for the Unitarian Universalist Association, our national office. I work as one of the regional field staff, and one of my portfolios is congregational development and leadership development. So this last spring, as everything was going crazy, right, starting in March, we realized that our congregations were really needing to pivot and think differently about how we need to do church. And one thing we know is organizational development experts, or people at least have read more about it than you've read about it maybe, is that when something changes, it's a great time to change everything and rethink everything. And so I and some of my colleagues at the UUA conceived of a program called Retooling for New Realities. And it wasn't so much like we're going to tell you how to get through this. It was more of a program where we get congregations together to talk with one another about what they're experiencing and what they might try in response. And so what this really is a container for creative interchange. I love that this meeting is following this service about the Imaginarium, because this is really applying this creative way of working together to congregational life and congregational thinking about how we do our ministry in the world. And so when I heard that our congregation applied to this, and it's not something that I said, apply for this, you did it on your own. So that makes me really excited. But that's a little bit of background from the big picture. And Diane's going to share more about how our congregation is participating.
Thank you, Renee, for that great overview and your work with the UUA to develop this program and bring it to congregations across the country. We're proud of you and happy to have our church represented on our retooling team by Ginny Horvath, Kim Rivers, and Kathy Kearns. From my own perspective as a participant, there are a couple things that I find really exciting and interesting. First, I appreciated how our teams are organized into small groups of similar sized churches. Our group of 3 has been named Team Neptune, which I love. And it comprises the UUCK, our church, and the Emerson UU in Marietta, Georgia, and the Humboldt UU of Bayside, California. Over the course of almost a year, meeting once a month, we'll get a real sense of the other team members as individuals, as well as their respective churches' outlooks, their successes, and their challenges. It's really great to branch out of our state and our region. A common theme that has emerged already are questions concerning the transition back to in-person services while continuing to provide virtual options as well. In addition, we're getting a chance to experiment, learn, and practice a new to me format for group discussion and consensus forming called dynamic governance or sociocracy. Possibilities of applying some of these tools and practices to other groups and committees is intriguing. So even though we've only had 2 retooling sessions so far, it's been fun to see how a comment or a shared idea has sparked that aha moment from someone else and how excited that person has been to take that germ of an idea back to their congregation. And so we look forward to doing something just like that with the UUCK. So with that, we will move on to racial justice.
Okay, I'm gonna give a little background for the Race for Justice team. So back in November, we had a 1-hour Zoom session that was held in partnership with our youth group and the support of the Board of Trustees, in which the Race for Justice team asked members of our church to answer 3 questions to gather feelings and thoughts about our church's commitment to racial justice. And after speaking in breakout rooms about the 3 questions, members were asked to record their thoughts in a Google survey. So the R4J team encouraged members who are unable to attend to also fill out the survey using a link provided in the e-news. And then after the December 1st deadline, R4J gathered the responses, and Mary Beth graciously formatted them into 3 word clouds, 1 for each question. Yes, so if we could see those word clouds. So the first one was, how do our UU values call us to do the work of racial justice? And the way the word clouds work is the answers that were given most frequently are biggest in the word cloud. So more members felt passionate about those things that were bigger. We can go to the next slide. The second question was, what does our church want to be known for in the work of racial justice? And then the third slide was, what specific action should our church take for racial justice? So after R4J got the responses and the word clouds were made by Mary Beth, a subcommittee was then formed to look at them and come up with a draft statement and an abbreviated tagline to encompass the largest keywords from the clouds, as these were the ones that came up most frequently. That subcommittee was Evian Rome, Marianne Stevens, Rhonda Richardson, and myself, who met over Zoom to try and capture the word clouds into what you'll see now. So here is our draft statement. It says, as people of conscience, we hold ourselves accountable to our Unitarian Universalist values of justice, equity, and compassion that call us to recognize the worth and dignity of all. We commit ourselves to bold action in ending systemic racism through active listening, visible advocacy, and interfaith partnerships directed at supporting Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. We will be a catalyst in dismantling racism through educating ourselves and others, building relationships with racially diverse people and groups, bearing witness and speaking out in public demonstrations of support for anti-racism, and advocating for institutional change and participating in community action.
Well, the hair must couple years.
Yeah, how many years have you been here?
And then the next slide is the abbreviated tagline, which says, our Unitarian Universalist Church of Kent commitment to racial justice, uniting in witness, speaking courageously, working for collective liberation. And now Rhonda is going to talk about how we'd like to get some feedback on it.
Jen, could you flip back to the slide that has the full statement on it, just so we could have that up while I'm, okay, thank you so much. Yeah, so this is the draft statement. We did our best to try to capture the main concepts, principles that jumped out at us through the word clouds. We posted this in last week's e-news along with a link to another sort of Google Doc where we're going to collect people's responses, comments, reactions to this. That will also be available in the next week's e-news as well. And once we've gathered responses and comments, then the writing subgroup will take those and look at what we've done and see how we might think we need to tweak this. The intent is that this is something that the congregation will be able to get behind and we'll be able to vote to support and adopt as our statement. And so we do want it to reflect people's thoughts. And so we are at this point inviting you to just share reactions. So either through the link that will be available in the e-news and that was available last week, or even right now, if there are any comments that you wish to put up in the chat box, we'll collect those as well. And I'll just kind of filter through those. Someone saying it looks great. Someone says it should be written Black, Indigenous, and people of color, proper capitalization, and remove the word other, AP style. Remove the colon. Okay, these are helpful. Powerful and calls us to action. And I know we're asking you to respond sort of on the spot, and that's why we're going to make the link available through the e-news, so you have a little bit more time to study it and ponder it before we finalize it and bring it to the congregation for adoption approval. Just wait another minute or so and see if anyone else wants to chime in. Hold ourselves accountable is a bit wordy. Why not just say uphold? Okay. Comprehensive, well-written. Have a question on the other slide with the bullet points. Okay. Like it, especially the tagline. Well done, always language tweaks. Direction is great. Like to see verbiage that reflects the work we need to do within our own walls to increase inclusivity and dismantle white supremacy in our policies, practices, and interactions. So something a little bit more kind of pushing forward. Why are Black people not part of the people of color group? I think other is necessary, considering you already said Black and Indigenous people. Okay. So what we were doing with that was the acronym BIPOC. We were just trying to write that out, and yeah, BIPOC is standard abbreviation now. Yes.
But also that it provides an opportunity to focus on our anti-racism work, particularly with all the things going on relationship to Black people and Black Lives Matter. That's a really specific call, I think, to focus on Black Lives Matter work.
Yeah, thank you for that. Well, we will suggestion about adding an action step, including some sort of action with material direct relief to people affected by racism, not just supporting institutional change, doing the work to help. Language about following the leadership of BIPOC activists. Okay. These are all really good, helpful comments. We appreciate the feedback, and we look forward to receiving more through the links that will be available, the link that will be available in the e-news. Before we finish up, we just wanted to let you know of a few other activities that the Race4Justice Task Force is working on and will be bringing to you. And these will be, there will be announcements about these in the coming weeks. But first and foremost, in recognition of Black History Month, we're going to be showing the 6-part documentary, The African Americans, Many Rivers to Cross. This is the series that we started showing last spring, and then it got kind of shut down because of COVID. We have figured out a way to be able to gather on Zoom and have people view it, thanks to Reverend Stephen's assistance there. So the plan is to launch this to coincide with Black History Month. So launching it on February 7th, a Sunday. And the intent is to do this at 1:30 in the afternoon for 6 Sundays, February 7th, 14th, 21st, and March 7th, 14th, and 21st. And each week we'll watch a 1-hour episode, after which Reverend Stephen will lead us in a discussion. This is a film that chronicles the full sweep of the African American experience, from the origins of the transatlantic slave trade to the election and re-election and second inauguration of President Barack Obama. We hope that you'll be able to join us for all or some of those Sunday afternoons. The second opportunity that will be coming your way is that the Race for Justice team is going to coordinate and offer participation in the UUA Common Read program this spring. The book that the UUA has selected for this year is called Breathe, A Letter to My Sons by Imani Perry. And it's a book that challenges society to recognize Black children as deserving of humanity. In the book, Perry shares her fear and frustration for her African-American sons in an increasingly racist atmosphere in which white people at times seem irredeemable. So we don't have all the details yet. We're waiting for information to be posted on the UUA website, but there will be an opportunity for you to read the book and then gather with us or with a small group via Zoom for discussion. We will have copies of the book available for you to check out and borrow from the church. Again, details of that will be forthcoming, so be watching the e-news for that opportunity to participate in Common Read of Breathe, A Letter to My Sons by Imani Perry. Appropriate for adults, but also the youth may find some interest in this. Okay, I think that finishes up our presentation from the Race for Justice group.
Thank you, Rhonda and Dina. And up next, our construction update.
So, yeah, hi. We figured this is going to be a good part of the discussion today would be question and answers. So we were just going to start right off with anybody have any questions, and that can kind of generate some discussions going forward and bring other questions to the fore. You can use the chat box or I guess unmute yourself if you'd like. Thus far, the building is looking pretty good. We're finally getting siding on the building. If you go to the back of the building, you can see that siding is on the patio section, and they're hoping to get a greater part of the siding done this coming week. A lot of rough ins for electric and plumbing. If you look inside the building, it's lots of studs and pipes and conduit. But here, probably within the next couple, 2-3 weeks, we're going to start seeing rooms when the drywall starts going up. We're waiting a little bit on the heating and the duct work in the fellowship hall proper to be completed. And a few other things that are decisions that we have to make. But things are rolling along. We're just a little bit behind schedule, but we are not in any big hurry at the moment, I guess, to get inside until we're safe to get together. So anybody have any questions? Or anybody else want to add, Katie or Andrew, add some verbiage to the discussion?
Well, I think
Katie.
Okay. We are going to have an electric car charger. So that the electric's been roughed in for that. That'll be towards Manaway along the sidewalk. So the gravel parking lot there will be restored to being full gravel right up to our new sidewalk. And we also have a nice walkway, concrete walkway all the way up to the public parking lot. Some people don't realize it's public, but it is a public lot off of Gaugler, just north of the church. So people will be able to park in there as well and have an easy walk if we can somehow connect that walkway to the actual parking lot. Might have to put some little pavers down in the mulch there, but let's see. People are asking when the building will be done, and we have not been given a definitive date, but it's going to be finishing up pretty quickly. In February, most of the interior, the drywall will be going up, the flooring will go in, and plumbing fixtures, etc., kitchen appliances can come in then after the flooring. So I think, I'm guessing the other members can maybe weigh in on this if they have a better idea, but I'm thinking by the end of March, punch lists will be fairly complete.
Yeah, we anticipate a conditional occupancy permit by the end of March. We won't be fully permitted because we won't have the landscaping and stuff done, of course, but they'll still give us a conditional use permit for occupancy.
Yeah, and I concur with the timeline also.
I also would like to give a shout out to our Hobbs Hall construction team, Andrew, Katie, Blaine, meeting at least twice a week, sometimes more, spending so many hours researching, learning, asking some tough questions of the contractors at times to kind of understand and keep things on track, making some difficult decisions, and really just giving so much of themselves to make this possible. So this is a huge shout out to the three of you. You are doing a wonderful, wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you. If we're giving shout outs, I want to also include Randy Leeson, who continues to do a large amount of work, and he's been working along with Brad Bolton and also Cal Fry. They've been working with Woodsies on getting the audio-visual connections all figured out so that we can have a great sound system in there, speakers in the walls. Brad's got his little station that's going to be set up in the main hall. So there's been a lot of work done by those people and others. So thanks to them.
And while we're also on that list, we have to include Kay Ekman, our project treasurer, handling the money issues, keeping us on track for the budget so that we continue to be responsible with congregational funds while dealing with all the unexpected things that are normal for any building project. So thank you to Kay as well.
I don't see any other questions about the buildings. Anybody?
I've got one question. Like to have an estimate on the electrical usage so we can consider the possibility of solarizing Hobbs Hall down the road. And maybe we can get that and let me know, and I'll be glad to be in touch with some solar companies, see if we can get estimates, if we can be realistic about this project.
Let's also give a shout out to Bill, who has done an amazing amount of research and dialogue with solar companies to investigate possibilities. Mm-hmm. My sense is that until we start using the building on a regular basis, we're not going to be easily able to estimate what it's going to take for electricity. We're going to need a history of electric use before we can really get a sense. Would the team concur with me on that one?
This is Randy.
That's accurate in order to have a right-sized system for our use. But I can confirm that we are planning the building to be solar ready, that installing solar on Hobbs Hall is part of the longer term plans, but that is the next step after construction is completed. At this point, we're making sure that the wiring and the structure will be designed with the intention of adding solar.
And there's a large wall section in the electrical utility room that's devoted right now to having that structure in place in the utility room.
Yeah, that will be a separate project though. I believe that will be not considered to be part of this project directly, but will be a separate project with separate funding. But we do have a space on the wall ready for the solar equipment.
Thank you.
Oh, and we've also, is this correct, Reverend Stephen, that we have purchased or we've put money down on our appliances? Is that correct? Yeah, okay.
There was a question about, am I not mute? Yeah, I'm not muted. There was a question about children playground equipment. I hope so is the answer. There's a very large patio on the north side off of the Fellowship Hall, and there's going to be a nice, not a huge area, but some green space there, and I believe it will be the purview of whoever is on the landscaping team, perhaps. That may not be correct, but we don't have any purchases set up at this point specifically for that, but it certainly is a goal to have some playground equipment for kids.
Yeah, there was nothing in the funds or in this building project any funds get dedicated for playground equipment. So that will have to be the next round of.
I don't know if anyone can answer the question about the next door neighbor's driveway. Can anybody answer that?
I can. The plan has always been that we're not going to enforce any restriction on them using a little bit of our property to get vehicles in and out of the driveway. I think it would, for a number of reasons. Number one, it would just be rude. And number two, they've been very cooperative in letting us have access to their property for getting the storm drain in. They've never really had any, they granted us an easement. They signed all the permission forms. So I don't really see it as being a big thing that we should pursue. I would oppose it vigorously, actually. Don't be in any kind of that kind of behavior by the church. The assumption has always been that we will eventually buy the 3 properties that remain to the north of the church. And I don't really see any need to antagonize any of the property owners. So that's my opinion.
It sounds good. Somebody asked about the electric car charging system. Will it be, I can't read it now. Will it be in use only when the church is in use, or will it be on all the time? At the moment, we were given, when we purchased this car charging station, we were given 1 free year of network services, and then they ran a special towards the end of this last year that gave an additional year warranty and an additional year of network service. So technically, we can have this on all the time. It will be viewable for anybody in the world if they're looking for a charging station on EV Go or Charge Go or some of these websites that you can find where is there a local charging station. So technically, we can do whatever we want. We could charge whatever we want. We can turn it on and off whenever we want. It's going to be able to be on or off whenever we decide. And I'm assuming that'll be part of the charge for a team in the future, setting up policies and systems at the church.
So Blaine, can you explain how that will be used? Is it just free electric to anybody, or do you get a subscription to a program that you pay into?
Well, after 2 years, yeah, we would pay a subscription fee to be on the network. As far as, I mean, we can set the price whatever we want. We could, some people could have free parking or free electric. When Cal Fry comes in, we could charge him $10 an hour if we wanted to just do that. Kidding. I don't know if Cal's on right now. So yeah, we can set it however we want. We could set free charging for 1 hour and then $2 an hour after that. There's just any way we want to set it up, we can do it. It's done through the networking with the company that we purchase it from. And did I answer your question? I'm not sure if I did or not. I'm just kind of going off here.
And the other concern would be that it would be set up to deliver a quick charge. And that would increase the voltage, of course, but.
Yeah, this is not a DC charge, so it's not necessarily we're not able to do, 100 volts, bam, get a charge like you can along the interstates, but it'll be a stage 2 or a stage 2 charger.
In other words, not the slowest, but not the fastest either.
The fastest one was, I think the cheapest was like $20,000 for the charging unit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So it was very expensive.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, and part of the intention was to be an example as well as a gift to the community to be able to use it. That was part of the purpose. Who is on the landscaping team? I don't know that that's been formulated yet.
My understanding is that Reverend Stephen is currently writing the charge for the landscaping team, and Georgia Quinn, our building and grounds coordinator, has agreed to lead that team, but we still need that team to be formed, members and people to be recruited for that, though several people have generously expressed their interest already. And we have a couple of different landscaping designs, the one that the architects put together in the plans that were submitted to the city, and a permaculture plan. And so sorting out the difference between the two, what is required for the city, and the budget that, to my knowledge, has not yet been allocated for it. Putting all those factors together will be a real job, but we have some expertise in the congregation on doing landscaping, and I'm sure it will come together, but we don't have the full team yet.
And just another note about that. We don't have free license to do whatever we want with landscaping. We do have a plan that we generally will need to stick to. The city will be inspecting and reviewing our landscaping. So just anybody who gets involved with it, it's good to know that it's not going to just be whatever the committee decides to do. We do have a landscaping plan. Do we get a single or dual charging station? I believe for now it's single. Is that right, Blaine? And there's a capability of getting it double?
Yes, yeah, we would just have to add another electrical cable and essentially double the, we'd have to add another $4,500 basically, or $4,000 about.
Yeah, and Heidi, it would be great to have people willing to do the labor for the landscaping. That's something I can't do, so it'll be good to have plenty of people who want to help plant. Stormwater is being handled by a retention pond on the property. So that it should be pretty sufficient.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the maintenance of the stormwater. I would assume once it leaves our detention basin that it's not our responsibility anymore, but that's...
No, we are responsible. There's a maintenance plan from the city that the church leadership has already signed. We are responsible for the maintenance of the stormwater detention area, and the maintenance is specified.
Well, I think as people continue to have questions and thoughts, please feel free to contact the church, and we will provide answers as best we can for you. It's great to hear what's on your minds and get such a full report. Thank you to so many people who are doing so much work and spending so much time on this project. I agree, very exciting.
Well, if anybody has any other questions, you can type them into the chat box, and we may be able to answer them towards the end. But how many other things yet do we have to do Diana? We got a few videos, or a couple videos yet, or?
Yeah, we have 2 more sections here.
Okay.
The just to introduce what we're going to see in a moment here, the motto of our capital campaign for what is now our Hobbs Hall was "Not for us alone." A year ago, we presented this video at the January town hall, and it was entitled "Fulfilling the Dream." So we felt that the time was right to revisit this video to remind us all of our dreams and possibilities from multiple members for the new space. Reverend Stephen's closing in the film, I thought, served as the perfect introduction for this video, and it's worth hearing twice. While this is not an exact quote, he said, "Not for us alone" is a great starting point for our vision, because that tells us we're thinking about the greater community. What we need to do more of is to ask the community what it needs the building for, which in essence will be a gift not for just ourselves, but for the greater community. So let's look at this video from last town hall.
So our mission is to inspire love, seek justice, and grow together in community. So as Unitarian Universalists, we're a people who want to change the world. And we know that means not staying within these 4 walls, but getting out there into the world. I would hope that the idea of really living out our mission and our vision to change the world is exciting. I'm excited by it. I think it's wonderful. That's one of the things that drew me to this congregation. A congregation said, yes, we're ready to open our doors because we know we have gifts. We have things the world needs. We have a message of love and hope the world needs to hear. That building, for me, is going to be one of the many ways that we can help share that message and possibilities with our greater community.
I've been doing a lot in the community lately, and I'm often looking for space for different kinds of events. And it's really hard to find space that has updated technology, that is good for people who have disabilities or hearing disabilities or access needs, and also is open to different uses.
I think that there is the potential for a lot of activities to take place in the fellowship hall. In fact, I'm really excited that there's an interest in reaching out to the community. The first thing that comes to my mind is an interfaith type of activities. I belong to the Kent Interfaith Alliance for Racial Reconciliation and Justice, which is KIFA for short. And we've had a couple of prayer vigils at our church, and we had a wonderful coming together of people of different faiths, including Hindus and people from the Jewish tradition. We are meeting monthly in a Christian church right now, and we're also noticing that we're not getting participation from the Muslim community in particular. I've actually been asked by some of the Christians on the committee if there's a possibility of using our church, because even they are questioning that and wondering if we would be more successful in attracting other faiths.
So I am on board to become the next president of the Kent Environmental Council. And one of my hopes for the council is to move it toward more of a hub for environmental activists in our community. And we want to be able to socialize and have opportunities for people to come and connect with one another. And again, we don't really have many spaces that are available for that kind of activity. The library has an awesome space, and we use that for lots of different events, but there's certain events we just can't hold there because it has too much of an activist bent, or maybe even a little bit more of a political bent as far as advocacy for certain kinds of things, which the library might want to be neutral about. So the kind of flexible space that our fellowship hall would have the kind of flexibility to host events like world cafes, film showings, lectures, things like that, where it would be accessible. There would be flexibility around serving food or not serving food. other things with as far as social events that might have a little bit of wine or beer or something. You know, that kind of flexibility is something that the Kent Environmental Council specifically needs a space like that.
That was one of the funnest things that the children did last year. They had so much fun, and so they were so proud of themselves when they made the food for the people of the homeless shelter and the veteran shelter. The pride, they were just bursting with pride, and that's something they really wanted to do. And we could be doing more of that, spreading more love into the community.
I met with Mark Frisone, the Director of Family and Community Services, and we had a wonderful conversation about some needs in the greater community. And one of the ones that I think is very doable for us and practical is providing showers and laundry facilities for people who are homeless. There are people who are currently homeless, camped right down there in the riverbanks, who would love a hot shower on a regular basis, or a place to warm up. A washer and dryer, you know, clean clothes make such a difference. We can meet those needs pretty easily. Imagine a couple days a week even, we had people here staffing. We provided a crock pot of soup and bread and stuff like that. People could come do their laundry and get a shower and talk to us and have food with us. It would meet a need that's there. I've seen it. Right? We have a vision, and we'd only begun to explore possibilities with it. One important thing I think about as we talk about that is the motto, the wonderful caption you came up with for the Capital Campaign, "Not for us alone." That's a great starting point for a vision, because that tells us that we're thinking about the greater community. What I feel we didn't do enough of was really ask the community what it needs the building for, which in essence will be a gift to our community, not just to ourselves, but to our greater community.
Thank you so much. Thanks for putting that together, Dave Smeltzer. So the two slides that we'll see here in a moment is a visualization of some of the ideas that have been shared in previous forums and events on that you as a congregation has envisioned for Hobbs Hall to live our values and serve our community. So some of these names that you can see are safe spaces for LGBTQ, polling places for voter registration, community health fairs, performance spaces, speaker series, services for homeless, community classrooms, food insecurity, meals distribution point, AA meetings, community organizations, meeting the candidates forums, film nights, discussions, disaster relief, location. I'm not sure if this is the second slide. We can move to the second one. Youth cons, international group events, summer activities for children. So now is the time that we ask ourselves, what does the church's mission and vision call us to do? As we heard during the service, as Leah Morris suggests, what's next? What can we imagine? We as a board, along with the working committees of the church, look forward to working with all of you in creating priorities of action and forming partnerships with community organizations as we prepare to move into Hobbs Hall. So, as on that note, it is now time to celebrate how much all of us have accomplished together so far over the past year. From the outstanding quality of our creative intergenerational virtual services led by Reverend Stephen and our first-rate tech team, the continuation of our excellent music program, ushered in by Hal's immediate adaptation to new technologies and formats, and his ability to keep us connected through his songs, too many instruments to count, singing together, and wow guest musicians from inside and outside the congregation. We have a strong and dynamic religious education program with Colleen and Michelle at the helm, and an engaged youth group who are demonstrating their commitment to being the change they want to see in the world. Mary Beth Hannon, our church administrator, is the calm, steady, and knowledgeable core who so very confidently keeps all our plates spinning and catches it when we drop one. The construction of Hobbs Hall almost goes without saying, but it is truly a highly visible manifestation of what we have done and what we will do going forward. Your generous financial support of the church's programs and operations has been amazing, and we are so grateful. And finally, it is every single member and friend of our congregation, from those of you who click the Zoom link on Sundays, with or without the camera, to those leading and participating on teams and committees, teachers, singers, and instrumentalists, children, youth, staff, and the board. Thank you. And let's give ourselves a big hand. Congratulations. Please enjoy this video montage that Dave Smeltzer put together for all of us.
Wow, that was great. All right, so on behalf of the board, I would like to thank Reverend Stephen for his leadership and all of the church staff for going above and beyond the call in this very challenging year. We would also like to thank the religious education team, the choir and the music program, the tech team, the construction team, and the many, many people who worked diligently on the various teams and committees this year. And anybody else I may have forgotten when making this list. You're all important. All right, a big shout out to Dave Smeltzer for putting together this fine video. It was fantastic. And all of our UUCK members for making 2020 a year with significant challenges a great year. We have accomplished so much and we should all be proud. Thank you all.
And thank you. I second Don's thanks to all of you. I think the words that I closed this morning's service with are very applicable. The words of Reverend Michael Schuler. We have reached the end of this time for the gathering of memory and for letting the imagination play with future possibilities. We have enjoyed magic moments and shared with each other. Shall it be concluded then? Or will this adventure now commence to continue? Our separate paths converging, meeting, merging in the unending quest for love more perfect, ever deeper gratitude, the joyous struggle for meaning more sufficient and life more abundant. Is this ending to be an ending or merely prelude to new, more glorious beginnings? I pose the question. In your hearts lies the answer. Now, as we prepare to go back out into the world, I look forward to discovering those answers with you. And in that spirit of possibility, I extinguish our chalice and bring our time to its end.